Yes, guys, what's going on? So, Kell Brook has come off a pretty bad defeat versus Gennady Golovkin, but I mean, his eye socket got broken, so you've got to say it is a pretty bad loss. But look, Kell Brook did really well in that fight versus Triple G. He's the only person to ever really damage Gennady Golovkin, push it and give it to Gennady Golovkin. And I saw Triple G stagger, okay? I didn't see him stagger from the uppercut. I didn't see him stagger from any of the punches, but I saw him stagger from a counter left hook, okay? And Kell Brook is the one that did that. And the big thing, whether you believe that or not, whether you think, oh, he didn't, he shrugged it off, you've got to understand, right? When you're looking at it from my point of view, when I was supporting Kell Brook, really hoping he wins the fight, and you're supporting Triple G, hoping he wins the fight, there's going to be an element of bias there, okay? You've got to try to take that out and look at it for what it is. Kell Brook backed Triple G up, okay? And he did cause Triple G some damage, okay? Now, not taking anything away from Gennady Golovkin, he's got a very good chin. But for the simple fact, right, that if you look at the punches that Amir was throwing on Canelo, okay, they didn't really have an effect on him, okay? But when you look at the fight with Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook, and you look at the Kell Brook's punches and the effect that had on Triple G, I mean, it definitely had an effect, okay? So you got to look at it. He's a welterweight going up to middleweight to fight the beast, and he's hurt the beast, okay? Or he's at least made him think about coming in, you know? So I mean, Golovkin eventually, right, he took over the fight, as you know, I'd say like 95% of people thought. And it was a tough ask for Kell Brook. It always was going to be a tough ask. But did he prove that he's special? And did he prove that Gennady Golovkin has holes? And did he prove that he is a very special and skillful fighter? Yes, he did. Okay. So with Kell Brook now, he's going to be fighting probably at 154 pounds. Who can he fight there? There's the Charlo brothers, he's got Lara, he's got Demetrius Andrade, he's got Saul Alvarez. I think Kell Brook he doesn't really need to think about too much. He doesn't really need to think too much into about, like, you know, what's he gonna do in the long haul. He needs to think immediate now. What am I gonna fight? Who am I gonna fight next? And for him, I think the best move that he can possibly make is to fight the winner of Canelo versus Smith. And I think Canelo Alvarez will win that fight. And I think if Kell Brook can manage to get Canelo Alvarez into the O2 Arena in London and face him, he's going to make a lot of money. He's got a good chance of winning the fight, and I love Canelo, but Kell Brook, in my opinion, showed that he's a very skillful fighter. 154 pounds, he's going to be extremely dangerous. Canelo can be outboxed, and Kell Brook showed how much of a good boxer he is. He doesn't get caught with flush punches much. If you looked at all the hooks that Gennady Golovkin was throwing, he was missing a lot of them. Gennady Golovkin is pretty accurate with his punches, but when he fought Kell Brook, he didn't manage to land the amount of punches, the loaded punches that he wanted. He had to resort to his jab a lot. The jab was landing, but Kell Brook, right, when he was fighting, you could see Brook was catching up here. He was making Gennady Golovkin literally miss by inches. But I think that because Gennady Golovkin is such a big puncher, he was very wary to throw the counter punches that he was able to do in the Sean Porter fight. You can see him really, you know, I said this before the fight, right? Kell Brook's a very skillful fighter. His footwork is very good. He catches, he shoots, he does that little lean back thing what Mayweather does, and he counter punches you. And he did do it in spots in the fight. It's just that he wasn't able to keep it up for the amount of rounds that he needed to. And it was always a difficult ask for him. And just looking back at it, I mean, with his eye socket breaking as well, I mean, it's really bad luck for him because he was doing so well in the fight. But look, right, back to what I was saying. With Kell Brook fighting Canelo Alvarez at 154 pounds, if he can manage to do some of the stuff that he did with Triple G, he's got a good chance. But you see, Canelo's a different fighter to Gennady Golovkin. He's not a pressure fighter. He's smart, he's clever, and all it would take is one loaded shot on Kell Brook and he could end the night right there. And he's got 12 rounds to do it. And Canelo throws a very hard one hit. Okay, Gennady Golovkin, I think, is very skillful and manages to get the right punches in at the right time and breaks you down. Whereas Canelo, he's more of a fighter. He'll go to the body, attack you, and he'll throw certain punches, and he throws a lot of feints and makes you think that one punch is coming, and then another punch will land. Triple G doesn't do that. Gennady Golovkin does that like in spurts. He doesn't try to think of the long haul. He'll more break you down than trying to land the one punch. He will land an accumulation of punches every round, and he wins more rounds. and he's got a very good jab. Canelo Alvarez is different. Canelo can be outboxed, okay? He's a very good fighter, but he can be outboxed. You throw a lot of punches, you can outskill Canelo Alvarez. You throw a lot of punches, you have good skill, you have a good chin, okay, you have good movement. Boom, that's and I think that Kell Brook is really, I think he's one of the best fighters if there was a fighter to beat Canelo in terms of style wise at 154. And this is the other thing, Kell Brook going back down, he's fought at 160, going back down to 154 now. He's going to be an animal at that division because that's 6 pounds lighter than 160. Okay, it's quite a significant drop. Alright, 6 pounds might not seem like a lot, but it is when it comes to boxing. And when he drops that weight and he hydrates back up, okay, to what, 159? No, sorry, 169 he hydrated to apparently, plus. So when he's hydrating back up to 169, 174, something around about that region, he's going to be quick, he's going to be sharp, he's going to be punching hard, he's going to be hydrated, he's going to be very healthy and strong. And I think that's a really good fight for him. And that's the super fight that I think Kell Brook should take next. As far as Amir Khan goes at 147 pounds, I think that for Kell Brook it's going to be very difficult for him to make the 147 pound limit, especially because he was struggling so much before. But for Amir Khan, he might just try it. But what if he tries and fails to make 147? I think that's a possibility because, yeah, he's made 147 in the past, but making it now is a bit different because he's gone up and bolts up to 160. To go back down to 147, even though he was already naturally struggling so much, it's going to be really, really difficult, even if it is for super big money. As far as Amir Khan goes, I think him facing Brook next wouldn't be the right move for him either, because why take such a high risk, difficult fight for yourself when you've got Danny Garcia, who is high risk as well, but he carries a 147 title with it. I think for Amir Khan, the logical fight for him would definitely be, if I was in Khan's corner, would be Danny Garcia, and I've been saying it for a very long time. Khan should have fought Danny Garcia a long time ago. He would have been a 147 pound world champion by now. It would have been an accomplishment. He could have had that belt. It was a it's the WBC belt, so it carries a lot of weight. He could have, pulled in some big fights with that WBC belt. But not, having said that, right, Amir Khan at 147 can pretty much get whatever fight he wants. But as far as the Brook situation goes, because both these fighters are tied in with each other, and that fight will always be there, do I think that fight's ever going to happen? I don't think it will anymore. I think that Khan's sticking at 147, he'll never be a 154 fighter. Kell Brook, he's going to be a 154 fighter and maybe probably move up to 160 at some point in his career. But his ideal weight for the next 2-3 years is going to be 154. And will they make it at catchweight? I don't know, but I don't think Kell makes 147. I struggle to see it. He'll be significantly weight drained, and I just don't think he can even. I don't think he can even make 147 anymore. I don't think it's physically possible for him to drop to 147. I think that the weight drop would be too difficult for him. But with Kell Brook, I definitely think Canelo's the fight for him. I think that's the super fight they should try to make. I think they should try to get Canelo Alvarez in the UK and get that big fight in the O2 Arena. And I think Kell Brook versus Canelo Alvarez would be absolutely huge, especially after Kell Brook, in a way, what he's done with Triple G has benefited his career a lot because he's raised his profile, he's mixed it with the biggest puncher in the world, and he put up a really good fight at the bare minimum. In them few rounds, he put up a really good fight. As far as Amir Khan goes with Canelo, because it was like a measuring stick. Amir Khan and Canelo, Kell Brook and Triple G. Amir Khan went more rounds, but Amir Khan got knocked out in devastating fashion, whereas Kell Brook didn't even drop. Maybe he would have got knocked out, but who knows, it's boxing, You can't say that this would have happened, should have happened, could have happened. It didn't, okay? The fight got stopped, and Kell Brook was on his feet. At no point did he get dropped officially in the fight. I know there was that early knockdown, but he didn't. He hurt Triple G, so he put up a good fight, and it was a lot of fireworks whilst it lasted. So for Kell Brook, I mean, and the thing was this, right? Everybody was saying that Gennady Golovkin is going to walk through and knock Kell Brook out easily, but that didn't happen, okay? Leave your comment section below, subscribe as always. Kell Brook at 154 pounds, that's what makes sense for him. I don't think it makes sense for him to go to 147 and fight Errol Spence. What's the point of him moving back down to 147, defending his IBF belt with Errol Spence there? Because, I mean, with him killing himself making weight, facing Errol Spence, I mean, why do that when there's a there's a bigger fight for you at 154. But you know, the thing is this, right? After he faced Canelo at 154, I mean, who else is there really for him? But for me, if I was looking at it, I'd be thinking about the immediate next fight, and the immediate next fight should definitely be Alvarez if he beats Liam Smith. Can you imagine if Liam Smith managed to beat Canelo? That would be huge. Then Kell Brook should face Liam Smith at 154. But definitely Kell Brook's next move should be to get his eye surgery done, get back in the gym, keep active. And I know in the Ingle camp they don't really do head sparring that much anyway. Get back in camp. As soon as your eyes good enough to get back in the gym, get back into gym, start training, and get himself healthy. And I think he's fine. I think Kell Brook will find a new motivation now, taking a loss in his career, but putting up a good fight, not getting totally embarrassed. I think it's going to do good for him. I think Kell Brook now is going to come back really well, and I think 154 Canelo Alvarez should be his sights. HBO are talking about that fight. I think Golden Boy will probably take that fight, and if Canelo beats Kell Brook, then Canelo Triple G would be absolutely huge. But I think it's a tough fast for Canelo. I think Kell Brook is really stylistically that good that he could beating Canelo's a big ass. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say that he could. It's definitely a possibility. You know, it's definitely a possibility. It's a very good fight. I'd have to see as it gets closer. But Canelo's an animal, a very, very clever fighter. But so is Kell Brook. Leave a comment section below. Subscribe as always. Be Real TV. Saul Canelo Alvarez, Kell Brook. That's the fight Kell Brook should be eyeing if Canelo gets through Liam Smith. And he should keep himself relevant. I don't think there's much for him in the 147 division anymore. Can't make that division anymore. There's really Amir, Khan, Thurman and all these boys, but really in terms of big money fights, there's only Khan. Okay, the rest of them are not big money fights. And at the end of the day, 154 is the division that he will be optimal at. And that's where a fighter should fight in 2016. Where do you perform best? Whether that's because of hydration, putting more weight on, not killing yourself, whatever it is, wherever you perform the best, that's where you should fight in today's day and age. Comment section below, subscribe as always, in a big guy.